keep telling y'all, keep your eyes peeled, ear to the streets. The streets are talking. The streets are talking. It's a lot of noise out there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Now, I'm not saying this is absolutely right, but when I've said there's smoke, there's fire, things have started to happen, and I'm paying attention to
The Indiana Fever just pulled a move that's got the entire league whispering. Word is they're going all in this offseason, and not just with any target. Jackie Young, Indiana-born, highest-paid player in the WNBA, and suddenly, she's no longer with Clutch Sports, while her Aces teammates still are. That's not random. That's a signal. But here's the twist most people are missing. The Fever aren't just chasing Jackie. They're quietly searching for a stretch power forward at the same time. 2 moves, 1 message. They're building a system that perfectly amplifies Caitlin Clark's game. This isn't about star power anymore. It's about control, chemistry, and championship DNA. Indiana's not waiting for respect. They're about to take it.
The Athletic Women's Show crew. Okay, there's a difference between the Caitlin Clark version of the Fever and the version that they had to cobble together. And that version worked well with Odyssey Sims and Kelsey Mitchell, but will it work well when Caitlin's back? Great question. So missing that secondary guard option could be okay. That makes sense as to what to look for during the free agent market.
Listen to how precise that phrasing is. Secondary guard option. Complementary guard. That's not rumor talk. That's front office strategy. Indiana isn't guessing. They know exactly what kind of player they're hunting for. And every word shows how calculated this rebuild is. Here's the psychology behind it. When a team starts talking about complementary pieces, it's basically admitting there's a structural gap in the lineup. The Odyssey Sims-Kelsey Mitchell combo held the fort when Caitlin Clark was out. But can that setup thrive when she returns? That's the real dilemma. They built a temporary fix that doesn't necessarily scale long-term. Now they're walking a razor-thin line. Upgrade the roster without shattering the chemistry that kept them alive.
We know Kelsey Mitchell is you guys' off-season focus. We know. Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is where it gets real interesting. The buzz, however, is about adding a power forward who can stretch the floor, someone who can create more space for Clark on the perimeter and give Boston room to work inside.
Here's where things get really interesting. The Fever aren't just chasing a big. They're chasing the right kind of big. A stretch power forward who can open the floor, create spacing for Caitlin Clark on the perimeter, and give Aaliyah Boston breathing room inside. That's not basic roster tweaking. That's architectural redesign. Right now, defenses can crowd the paint against Indiana because there's no true floor spacing forward. It chokes Boston's postgame and forces Clark to work through traffic. But add a 6'5", 6'6" forward who can drain threes, handle the ball, and switch defensively, and the whole system shifts. Suddenly, opponents have to pick their poison, help on Clark and leave a sniper open, or collapse on Boston and surrender corner threes. Either way, Indiana wins. That's not just smart roster management, that's chess-level construction. And the wild part? The player they're eyeing might not be the one everyone expects.
Go get Azurá Stevens from the Sparks. Go get her. Go get Azurá Stevens. She's the perfect fit, 6'6". She's 6'6", long, can shoot the three, can move, can put the ball on the floor. She is a literal, she is a stretch four at the T.
Azurá Stevens from the Sparks, 6'6", smooth, mobile, and dangerous from deep. She's the prototype of a modern stretch four. Not a ball-dominant scorer pretending to be a point forward. Not a defensive anchor trying to force offense. A legitimate two-way piece who spaces the floor, moves fluidly, and understands timing. Here's why that's massive. Stevens doesn't need touches to make an impact. She's not coming in to hijack the offense or chase headlines. She fits perfectly into Caitlin Clark's rhythm, cutting, screening, spacing, and letting the system breathe. That's the difference between chemistry and chaos. We've seen teams ruin momentum by signing names instead of fits. Stevens is the opposite. She's the quiet, stabilizing force who elevates stars by doing everything others overlook. That's how championship rosters are built, by prioritizing balance, not ego.
I can for Jackie Young. Like, I don't think I would expect her to leave, right? But she is an Indiana native. She played at Notre Dame. If you can ever try and lure someone out of Las Vegas Aces ecosystem, that is a player that I'm certainly going after, making the biggest swing I can.
Now we get to the nuclear option, Jackie Young. Indiana native, Notre Dame icon, and currently the highest paid player in the WNBA at $252,000 a year. And here's the thing. When a reporter says, "I'm making the biggest plea I can for Jackie Young," that's not random chatter. That's insider language disguised as a friendly take. When you start hearing specific names, specific salary numbers, and specific hometown ties, it's not speculation, it's foreshadowing. But here's where the plot twists. Jackie Young changed agents last season. She's now the only member of the Aces core not represented by Clutch Sports. Aja Wilson? Clutch. Chelsea Gray? Clutch. Jackie? Not anymore. That's not just a business move. That's a message. Something behind the scenes is shifting.
Hey, who knows? Who knows? The Aces title-winning trio is the tip of the iceberg in this year's free agent class. While Chelsea Gray and Aja Wilson seem likely to stay put, with both eligible to be cored, Jackie Young hasn't clearly stated her intentions yet. She hinted at bringing it back, which favors her staying, but she changed agents last season and is now the only member of the Aces core that are not represented by
Listen to how deliberate that sounds. Jackie Young didn't just switch agents. She intentionally walked away from the same agency that represents her entire championship core. That's not paperwork. That's positioning. You're on a dynasty team. You've won titles, built chemistry, shared locker rooms, and then you choose to break from the agency that keeps everyone connected? That's not an accident. That's strategy. It means you're thinking about independence, leverage, and options beyond Vegas. Clutch Sports isn't just any agency. They control narratives, engineer super teams, and keep stars clustered together. So when Jackie Young steps out of that orbit, it's not quiet rebellion. It's a neon sign. The highest paid player in the league might just be planning her next chapter somewhere else.
Hey, listen. I'm not saying Jackie Young is going to be on the Indiana Fever. What I do want to know is, would you guys be interested in having Jackie Young join the Indiana Fever? Would y'all be interested in that? It's something to think about. It says, as the highest paid player in the WNBA with an annual average salary of $252,000.
It might sound far-fetched, sure, but pay attention to how it's being framed. Unlikely, but imagine if it happened. That's not random chatter. That's coded insider language, the kind reporters use when they know something's brewing but can't print it yet. They float trial balloons, measure reactions, and see how fans respond before the real story drops. And if this domino actually falls? If Indiana pulls off Jackie Young and Azura Stevens, the league's balance of power shifts overnight. Clark orchestrating, Young creating and scoring, Kelsey Mitchell sniping from deep, Stevens stretching the floor, Boston finally operating with space instead of traffic. 5 players, all capable of handling, passing, and shooting. No defensive weak links, no exploitable spots. That's not a lineup. That's a blueprint for unstoppable, positionless basketball.
2026 WNBA draft is still months away, and with the new CBA yet finalized, there's plenty left to sort out before any selections are made, but that doesn't change that next year's class is absolutely loaded.
But here's where things really start to twist. Listen closely to that line. I don't really think Jackie Young is a great fit next to Caitlin Clark. We're here to see the Clark show. That's not just analysis. That's foreshadowing. It's the quiet fear behind every so-called super team. Because if Jackie Young comes to Indiana, someone's spotlight dims. Who gets the final shot? Who commands the ball when it matters most? Jackie isn't some mid-tier pickup. She's a 16 points per game, championship-tested alpha. She's not leaving Vegas to become a background singer in the Clark Orchestra. So either the Fever have a master plan to blend two high IQ stars without stepping on egos, or they're about to light the fuse on a chemistry bomb. Because here's the truth. Talent wins headlines. But chemistry wins championships. And most front offices never learn that lesson until it's too late.
Clark, Boston, and Michaela Timpson. Meanwhile, Lexi Hall is a restricted free agent. Sophie Cunningham is an unrestricted free agent.
Only 3 players are locked in for 2026. Caitlin Clark, Alia Boston, and Nalissa Thompson. That's it. Everyone else? Question marks. Lexi Hull hits restricted free agency. Sophie Cunningham's unrestricted but eager to stay. And Kelsey Mitchell, their self-declared top priority, can walk with 0 restrictions. That's an incredibly fragile foundation. Lose Mitchell and miss on a major signing, and suddenly you're rebuilding around 2 stars with no proven support. That's front office malpractice. But maybe, just maybe, this is a calculated risk. What if Indiana's willing to let Mitchell walk to chase Jackie Young? Young's younger, stronger defensively, and a better two-way creator. Mitchell's a pure scorer, but Young's a system player who elevates everyone around her. It's the kind of polarizing, high-stakes roster decision that fans hate in the moment, but ends up looking brilliant in hindsight.
I disagree. I don't think it's much there. This draft is not... there's a huge drop-off. Once you get past the 6th pick in this draft, to 7, there's a huge drop-off. A huge drop-off. So
this year's draft is loaded at the top. Lauren Betts, Anna Morrow, Kiki Iriafen, Raven Johnson, Olivia Miles. But listen closely to the tone around it. I don't think any of them are franchise changers. That line matters because it exposes the Fever's mindset. They're not looking to the draft for salvation. They're not waiting on a rookie to grow into a star. They're operating in a win-now mode. Every move, every rumor screams urgency. That means free agency isn't a side note. It's the entire plan. The draft is just about depth and spacing, not cornerstones. A player like Yarden Garzon, the 6.3 Indiana-born sharpshooter now at Maryland, could be a perfect value pick at 10. She's insurance, not identity. The Fever's real strategy? Lock in stars through free agency, then use the draft to fine-tune a roster built to compete today, not tomorrow.
Interested in that. Me personally, I want her to stay with the Aces because I think with Caitlin Clark, we could go beat the hell out of the Aces. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Indiana Fever will beat the Aces.
I'm calling it right now. The Indiana Fever can beat the Aces. That's not blind optimism. That's belief rooted in a system that actually makes sense. But here's what this really is. Not just a rivalry, but about a mission. The Fever aren't trying to coexist with Las Vegas. They're trying to end the dynasty. This is philosophical warfare. Smart construction versus super team stacking, patience versus power. Indiana's trying to prove that building around a generational cornerstone like Caitlin Clark through fit and precision can dismantle a roster full of all-stars. If they land a true stretch 4 and either re-sign Kelsey Mitchell or steal Jackie Young, the Aces' run is officially on borrowed time. Because when you beat a dynasty, you don't just grab a trophy, you redefine the league. You flip the hierarchy. Suddenly, Indiana becomes the destination. Free agents stop chasing Vegas lights and start chasing Indiana culture. This offseason isn't just about basketball moves. It's about legacy. So, Basley fam, what's the play? Do you swing for Jackie Young and risk chemistry? Or stay the course with Clark and Mitchell and let the dynasty crumble organically?